Do you want to understand the differences between a perfect reality as in heaven and an imperfect reality as in the universe? Do you want to learn a theory that explains the differences between these two realities and these two existences? A philosophy to make the world make sense. So I am going to teach package philosophy. Package philosophy explains that there are two realities in this theory. There's a perfect reality and then there's an imperfect reality. The perfect reality is known as a heaven or a paradise, what I call a perfect reality, and an imperfect reality is, like the universe, this existence and planet Earth. And this theory explains the difference between these two existences and why humanity and humankind is the way in which we are. So it's basically based on whatever exists within one reality cannot exist within the other reality. And whatever exists within one reality, the opposite exists in the other reality. This philosophy uses the rule of pairs. So I'm going to skip. Should I skip? I'm trying to. I just forgot what rule of pairs is. Oh, that's it. Certain things in life come in pairs. When things come in pairs, one needs the other to survive. If one ceases to exist, the other one ceases to exist as well. As in, they both thrive off each other and become dependent on each other's existence. So if you take one out of the equation, you take away the other one out of the equation as well. Anyway, so the idea of rule of pairs is when you put things in a pair, one has to be the polar opposite of the other. And these two realities are basically in a pair, and they are the polar opposite of the other. So in these two theories, the perfect... Oh, and in this package philosophy, it says that when you are born in a perfect reality or a paradise or a heaven, you get given the perfect package. When you are born or created and come into existence in an imperfect reality, you get given a different package called the imperfect package. And whatever exists within one package, the opposite exists within the other package. Because, when you put things in pairs, one has to be the polar opposite of the other. So in a perfect reality, you'd be invulnerable, you'd be invincible, you'd be immune to disease, pain, suffering. So you'd be invulnerable, you'd be immortal, as in you'd live forever. You'd have a presence of an all-knowing, all-powerful deity or a god. And because you're in the presence of a being that knows everything, then you become reliant on that god to give you all the answers. So in a perfect reality with a perfect package, you would know everything because God would basically give you all the answers you're in the presence of God. You have the absence of the caveat limit of the universe, which is in this universe, everything has a caveat, everything has a limit. We can't move things with our mind. We can't eat chocolates without, if you don't brush your teeth, you can't eat loads of chocolates without your teeth rotting away, and stuff like that. So you have the absence of the caveat limit of the universe and the perfect reality. You'd have no children because you'd have no death and you'd have no stages of aging. So therefore there'd be no children, babies or elderly. In my theories, everybody would be in their 20s, would be like I don't know, 23 or whatever. So you would have the absence of children, you'd have the absence of birth, and you have the absence of death. You would know everything. You'd be in the presence of a being that's all powerful. You'd have destiny or divine destiny because God basically controls your every action. There's no free will. So the next one is no free will. And in a perfect reality, you'd have the inability to feel emotions, because emotions is what allows you to do bad things. If you give into your fear, your anger, your hate, you give into your emotions, you end up doing immoral things. So in an imperfect reality, you are incapable of doing bad things. Right? So that exists perfect reality. But in an imperfect reality, in this universe, you end up getting the opposite. You'll end up being mortal. So that means you'd die. You'd be vulnerable to diseases, illnesses, mental illnesses, viruses, and all this kind of stuff. Um, you'd come into existence knowing nothing, because there's no divine being to give you all the answers. So therefore, you have to create all the answers yourself. Because you're mortal and you die, you have the stages of aging. You have a baby, a child, a kid, a teenager, young adult, fully grown adult, middle aged, retiree, and then you'd have old age. And yeah, you'd have the ability to have children, to have babies, to reproduce, because people die. In order to keep life present in reality, you have to have the ability to give birth, to basically replenish the life that's lost through death. Um, in this reality, you have life, death, and birth. You have the ability to have children, and you have the ability to pursue and to create your own knowledge. So anyway, so that's kind of like power package philosophy, and how, depending on what reality you live in, depends on what package you get. But anyway, this is package philosophy, and this is just kind of like, um, this is a theory that kind of explains the differences between the two realities, and it kind of goes into a little bit of why these realities are different and what makes them who they are. No, sorry, makes them what they are. Um, so yeah, maybe I'll do another video eventually. I don't know when, that will go into this in different ways or something, or there might be other theories that will explain as well, and then those other theories will explain context for this. So if you're interested in learning more philosophy, more theory, more politics, more about mental health, more about existence, the world, state of America, the state of the UK, stay tuned to the pioneer of true centrism. Please like, subscribe, share, and hype the video. Liking and subscribing is the most important. Thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate you. Please look at other videos on my channel if you got this far. And if you got this far, give it a like. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for more videos.